Our hero Yuta Okotsu is harassed by a group of bullies and things are about to become tricky, but then he suddenly summons an overpowered demon named Rika to save him from his attackers. The bullies are killed in the most brutal manner, and this episode is brought to the attention of an elite sorcerer named Gojo Satoru. The Jujutsu Council wishes to have Yuta executed as Rika's monster spirit is considered to be a threat. However, the warrior expresses an interest in Yuta, so he convinces them not to kill him and goes to have a discussion with our hero. Yuta immediately regrets his decision to summon Rika and turns himself over to the authorities. However, Gojo wants to become his mentor and decides to take him to Jujutsu High School in order to help him control Rika. Then we see Yuta preparing himself for his new life as he gets dressed and makes his way to Jujutsu High. He meets Gojo, who greets him happily and takes him inside the academy, where we are introduced to a beast man named Panda, Maki Zenin of the Zenin clan, and a silent boy named Toge Inumaki. The team seems to already know about the rumors surrounding Yuta, and then their classes begin. Gojo acts in dramatic fashion as he tries to introduce Yuta to his new family, but his efforts fall flat as our hero enters in rather subdued fashion. The team immediately panics and attacks Yuta as they can sense his cursed energy emanating from his body. That's when Gojo reveals that this is a place where people with curses are not allowed. Maki is surprised that their leader has recruited a demon boy, but suddenly Rika shows herself and shoos the attackers away as she is very protective of her boyfriend. Now we see a flashback where we learn that the demon girl was once Yuta's girlfriend, Rika Orimoto. The children have a wonderful time with each other, and then Rika gives Yuta an engagement ring. She promises to marry him when they get older, and their hero happily agrees. Unfortunately, Rika dies in a car accident, but Yuta refuses to accept her fate. That's when her spirit latches onto him as a curse, and his life has never been the same since then. Now Toge, Panda, and Maki make their introductions to our hero, after which the team is put to work by Gojo. Panda and Toge make up Team 1, while Yuta and Maki make up Team 2. The samurai girl gives him a hard time by saying he must have been bullied as a child, but the others tell her to take it easy on the boy. Gojo sends Maki and Yuta to a cursed school and states the two children have been kidnapped by a cursed monster, so they need to save them as soon as possible. As the duo discusses their next move, an army of cursed monsters attack them, and Yuta immediately panics. However, Maki gets to work and takes down the creatures in just one blow. Yuta continues to show fear as they investigate the school, so Maki thinks of him to be a grade 4 warrior, which is the lowest rank. However, she is shocked when she checks Yuta's ID and learns that he is actually a special grade user, which is even higher than an A rank. At that moment, a giant monster reveals itself and consumes the school. Maki tries to attack it with her cursed spear, but it is of no use, as she and Yuta are swallowed by the massive beast. Once they are inside its belly, our heroes find the missing kids, but they seem to be inflicted with a monster's curse. It doesn't take long for Maki to also get affected, and then Yuta starts to lose hope. Maki motivates him to unleash his powers, and that's when Yuta decides to wear Rika's engagement ring. To his surprise, he is able to summon his dead girlfriend out of his own will, rather than being abruptly saved like the earlier times. An intense battle wages on as Rika manifests into a giant demon and savagely dominates the cursed monster. Meanwhile, our hero struggles to carry Maki and the survivors to safety, but he is motivated by Rika, so he manages to make it to his boss after an intense struggle. However, Yuta is upset because he doesn't want to use the love of his life as a demonic monster. Gojo motivates him to keep at his job, and he also mentions that Yuta might have been the one who placed the curse on Rika, rather than the other way around. Later, Gojo is reprimanded by his bosses at the Jujutsu Council for being careless with the curse of Rika. They feel that things are going out of control and suggest executing Yuta, but Gojo tells the council to watch their mouths as he will fight them if they try to attack his student. Now the boss man gives Yuta a katana and says that he might be able to harness Rika's powers through it. However, in order to become a pro, our hero needs to train his skills. Yuta is put up against Maki as she is an expert samurai, and as expected, he is easily dominated. However, he doesn't give up and continues with his efforts, eventually becoming better over the course of time. During one of the training sessions, Panda comes up with an idea and asks our hero some awkward questions about Maki's body. Then he playfully harasses Maki as well, thus leading to a hilarious argument. However, Gojo comes to the scene and states that there is a new curse to handle. He decides to team Yuta with Toge for this mission, but before he sends them to the battle zone, Gojo tells our hero that he cannot allow Rika to break free this time, as it will cause problems for both of them. Yuta and Toge reach a shopping district and meet one of Gojo's colleagues, who cover them in a veil to protect them from other monsters. As our heroes make their way forward, an army of monsters attack them, and then Togi shows off his throat powers, completely surprising Yuta in the process. However, just when they think the coast is clear, our heroes are suddenly confronted by another overpowered monster that can use explosive beams. Togi uses his powers to fight the beast, but it's much stronger than him, so Yuta takes him away from the scene. The team has a brief conversation, and then they decide to combine their powers in order to defeat their opponent. Yuta calls upon Rika's powers to enhance his sword, and then an intense battle follows between him and the monster. Yuta manages to wound the beast, but gets injured in the process. Luckily, Toge jumps on top and uses some medicine to enhance his powers, thus killing the monster with his voice. Our heroes celebrate their victory, but they are being watched by a sinister sorcerer named Geto Suguru. He is disappointed that he could not witness Rika's true powers, but seems to be interested in Yuta. Later, Panda bonds with Yuta for a bit, and Maki takes him for more training. Meanwhile, Gojo investigates the crime scene and identifies the culprit to be Geto, who also happens to be an ex-student of Jujutsu High. Now, we get to see the villain in action when he saves a woman from a creepy curse by absorbing the monster with his powers. After that, one of his clients meets him and begs for a solution to his curse, but Geto doesn't seem to care about his situation and brutally kills the man with his monsters. The overpowered warrior goes to his team and discusses his plans to overtake Jujutsu High. As Gojo tries to understand Gojo's intentions, our heroes bump into the evil villain's group and are confronted. It appears as if a battle is going to break out, but then Geto makes his acquaintance with Yuta and tries to ask for his help. However, Geto mentions that he wants to kill all the non-sorcerers in the world, and then Gojo comes to interrupt him. A brief argument follows, and then Yuta refuses to side with the villain's twisted fantasies. Geto seems unhindered and states that he is going to place over 1,000 curses upon Tokyo and Kyoto on the 24th of December. Gojo tries to stop him in his tracks, but Geto threatens his students with an army of cursed monsters, so he is allowed to escape. After that, we learn that Geto and Gojo seem to know each other on a personal level. As the rest of the team tries to discuss their plan of action, Gojo advises caution because he feels that Geto has something else up in his sleeve. The evil sorcerer chats with his team regarding their plan, but it seems as if their probability of winning is very low. However, Geto reveals that he actually wants to kill Yuta so that he can absorb Rika's curse and use it to become a demon king. The day of the invasion arrives, and Maki has to stay back with Yuta at Jujutsu High as they are still newbies. She explains to him that she is a failure of her clan as she doesn't have powers like the others. Maki also mentions how her family would shame her, and this was what made her so cold. Yuta tries to cheer her up, but she walks away as she doesn't want to become emotional. Now Geto and his team make their moves, and an intense battle takes place. However, the demon leader invades Jujutsu and directly faces off against Maki as he wants to get to Yuta. That's when Gojo realizes that the curse attack was simply a decoy to allow Geto to attack Yuta without any interruptions. Gojo sends Panda and Toge to the scene, but then he is attacked by an elite warrior named Miguel. Geto defeats Maki with ease, and then he fights Panda fiercely. After a lengthy duel, he defeats the Beastman, but Toge tries a sneak attack and strikes him. Unfortunately, Geto comes back stronger than ever and defeats the warriors with his cursed monsters. Yuta is triggered after seeing his injured friends, so he awakens Rika to fight the villain. Our hero kills some of his monsters and heals his friends immediately. Rika seems to be jealous of Maki, but her boyfriend tells her to take it easy. Now, Geto unleashes even more monsters, but Yuta uses his newly acquired sound powers to kill them all. Meanwhile, the battle wages on, and we see Gojo easily dominating Miguel. He shows off his atomic energy and kills multiple monsters, while also toying with his opponent in an action-packed sequence. Yuta faces off against Geto in a fierce duel, where our hero gives the villain a good fight, but gets dominated for a bit. Despite this, he refuses to give up and awakens more of his powers to regain the advantage. Yuta seems to have won the fight, but then Geto summons an overpowered spirit and combines all of his 4,461 curses into a maelstrom. Meanwhile, Nanami and the other elite warriors combine their strengths to take down the army of monsters invading the city. The curses don't seem to end, but the sorcerers refuse to give up. Geto mocks Yuta for not being able to harness Rika's true energy, but he has an emotional moment with the demon girl and says he loves her. Then our hero decides to sacrifice himself to unleash Rika's true powers, and they use an ultimate finisher move to defeat Geto once and for all. The demon sorcerer is at his last breath when Gojo meets him, and we learn that they were actually best friends before Geto went crazy. The villain hands over Yuta's ID card to his only friend, after which he dies in front of him. Yuta wakes up and is greeted by his friends, but walks towards Rika in order to fulfill his sacrifice. However, Rika transforms into a girl again as her curse has been lifted. That's when Gojo arrives and reveals that his theory about Yuta placing the curse was right all along. We also learn that Yuta is a descendant of the biggest sorcerers in Japan, thus making him related to Gojo. Our hero bids an emotional farewell to Rika, who thanks him for letting her protect him all this time. Then, he joins his friends on a new journey together. A post-credit scene shows Miguel dining with Gojo and Yuta as he has now become their ally. And that's the end of the movie. Like, share and subscribe for more recaps and hit the bell icon for notifications. I'll see you soon!